Hi and welcome. Whether you've been following my projects or you're new to some of the things that I've been trying to post for the last 5 years, you're certainly welcome to this site. This is on YouTube, of course. It's going to be on my website as well. I've been working on a project to make an imaging system based on turmeric, which is the fairly common spice, or called a poor man's saffron, I guess, because of its intense bright yellow. So I'd like to share with you this. This is an overview, and there are still some problems, but I'm hoping that some of the folks who are watching will comment on the website and give me some input and maybe help me bring this project to completion. Turmeric has a material in it called curcumin of about 3 to 5%, which is the active ingredient that I'm working with. And so we simply isolate the curcumin from the turmeric using 91% isopropyl alcohol, which is real easy. It sounds complicated, but man, it's easy. But you get a bright yellow color, which is this, and this is on photo paper. It's different on fabric, but this will all be discussed on the website more so than here. Like I said, this is an overview to see if you're interested. If you are interested, then come on over to the website and watch video 2 and follow up on all the rest of the information. So when I make this, it's a slow system, and it's a photo bleach out, a negative system, so you need positive images to work with. But the theory here is that curcumin is very light sensitive, and although it's a dye that's been used for a couple of thousand years, it does tend to fade and bleach out over time, particularly with ultraviolet. And the sun is the best source of this imaging. And I've had a little bit of a problem this winter because there just hasn't been enough sun. The sun angle has been poor and so forth. So it's been a real struggle to get to where I am. So we're still in spring, early spring actually. But I think I've got a good enough handle on this to be able to share it with you. Now here's what it looks like when I set it up. Now these are the two images that I put on here, and you can see the coated paper in the background. And this is now going to be put in the sun, and it'll take, during the when I started this 3 years ago, I had to give it up for time constraints. I was able to get pretty good images in one day, about 8 to 10 hours of good summer sun. And this is just a cheap dollar store photo frame with the glass on it, so it protects the image, and it works really well. Hey, for $1, how far wrong can you go? So this is then exposed to the sunlight, and what you're left with is an image that looks like this. So now this is the same photo paper, started off the same. Now this is about 2 days with this slightly weaker sun angle. So like I said, it's a little bit slow, but it can be a little bit of fun. So there are 3 steps to this. One is that after you coat after you coat this, expose it, then you dip it in into boric acid. Now what's happening is that the boric acid reacts with the curcumin to form a dye, a red dye, called rosocyanine. Rosocyanine, I'm sorry. I'm always correcting myself. But we'll get it right. And so it's not a pH related system. So the first step is to coat it, image it, just a plain curcumin, then put it in a 2% solution. And these solutions are really very, very light, very weak. So they're not dangerous at all. But the curcumin does stain. So we'll discuss more about that on the website. So this image has been made, dipped in boric acid, and now I'm going to develop it out in a 2% sodium hydroxide. A boric acid is the one that's used for roach. It's used for ant and roach powder, very commonly available, as is the turmeric, and then the sodium hydroxide is just drain cleaner. So that's what I have in here. So now that this has been treated with the boric acid solution, I'm going to develop it in the sodium hydroxide. Now we'll see how this works. Not bad. Not bad. I've had better. But here you can see I didn't quite get it all. You can see there's a I'm trying not to drip it all over the place here. So that's what the image looks like at this point. And depending on the density, obviously it can be considerably darker. But the images are very, very clear. You know, they're certainly there, and they're somewhat interesting. So now what I did is I tried one a bit more complex in that rather than using just these cut out sort of really stark images, I wanted to try one with varying density, which of course is pixelated. And this is the image. It's an old building here in town, 1889. Let me show you again. And it's got variable density. It's not continuous tone, obviously. So I made the transparencies. These are doubled. You have to use two of them in order to be dense enough to hold the sunlight out. So this is what it looks like after, again, 2 days. Now, I have not seen this one. This could be a real disaster. I'm not sure. I'm kind of curious to see this one. Oh my gosh, that's actually better than I had thought it was going to be. But it's still not very dense. There's still some work to do here. So I suspect by what's happening is that it's not holding out the sunlight all the way. So that's one possibility. Now I did another one slightly larger, and let me get rid of this one first. So I did one even larger, and it may be more dense. I'm not sure. Well, we'll see. Oh, it's not too bad. Okay. So this like I say, it's a work in progress. So it's not as dense as I want it to be. And it can be, this is really dripping. It can be a lot better than this. But there's the general overview. And it gives you some idea of the potential for this system. Now, I don't claim to have all the answers to this. One of the problems is that the dye that I just showed you, the image that I showed you, is somewhat fugitive, and it will fade. Now, I've tried using a mordant, which is alum, and that's commonly used mordant in dyeing. But on paper, it really doesn't do a whole lot of good. But I have done it on fabric, and it seems to work fairly well. So there's just a number of possibilities to this whole system. And hopefully, if you have some interest in it, you'll come over to the website and watch video 2, and I'll show you how to do the extraction, which is really, really easy. The whole system is very, very simple. But the key is in really getting a more dense image. And in fabric you can get much more density. However, it takes a little bit longer to bleach out. So, this is one of those projects that I could consider calling it a somewhat of a failure to some degree, but I know that it's completely doable. And I think with a little bit of help and insight from you folks who watch and follow my projects, we'll have some ideas. And meanwhile, I'll continue to plug along and work. And the rest of my work, I think, probably will be on fabrics, because I think that holds the greatest potential. But so if you're interested, I do hope you will follow along and go over to the website and watch video 2, and follow the write-up, and some of the other things that I've found out about this system. And I think it just has a tremendous amount of possibilities to make some really good images, and I hope you do too. So for now, hopefully I'll see you on the website, and hey, have a great rest of the day and the night. Thanks a lot. This is Ken.